Hey everyone, welcome to A Mess Nonetheless. I am Rachel.
And I'm Melissa, and we are
and
sisters.
We're back.
And we're back.
Oh. Yay! We are sisters and we're back.
And we're
Season
back. Both 3.
Are true. Here
Season
we
3.
go.
That's crazy.
I know. It's really crazy. I
that
feel like
fast.
We just talked about starting this podcast yesterday.
I think we did.
That is very weird.
Like. Mm-hmm.
All right. We're so excited to be here. We had a really great break. Every time we take a break from podcasting, we're always like rejuvenated and excited to come back to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully you missed us a ton because that would be really great.
That would be. If you're like, oh, we didn't even know you were gone. Well, that's unfortunate for us.
That's too bad. Also, if you have never taken time to rate us or review us on whatever app you are listening to us on, or, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and like our things, because then that spits us out there. But please take time to rate us. Please write a review. If you have never written a review and you are a loyal listener, please take time to write a review. And if we could be so bold to ask that you also might even go to our Instagram page or Facebook page and share. Just tell people, hey, this is one of my, or even my very favorite podcasts.
You can say that.
And we really think you should listen to it too.
It's really, the reason we ask this is not just because we want like accolades, because it really gets us out there. It helps the algorithm of, so if you're like, well, this is beneficial to me, obviously you want other people to hear us too. So that's fine.
Yeah. We're not looking for pats on our backs. We pat ourselves on the back all the time. Melissa, you are so great. I think I am so great.
We've got that.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. So we got a new puppy and our mother is here. She was in charge of the puppy. He just comes running in. I'm here.
Oh, funny. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
apparently I left the bedroom door and she came the side door. Either way, I was like, oh, there's my puppy. Oh, there's my mother. Oh my gosh. Anyways, yeah, we got a new puppy last week. So that's exciting.
Sounds terrible.
You know what? He's been really good. Really. Like, and the kids, I can't believe how helpful they are. Our daughter Ada has really like taken on like the mother role to him.
Awesome.
And so she just has all this ownership and she sets the alarms and lets him out to go potty. And
oh, wow. That's fantastic.
And we had worked really hard with our kids. Not we. I say we like me and Joey. That's just not true.
By we, you mean you.
Me. I had worked really hard with our kids when Maggie was a puppy and we went to like obedience school and we really followed through and we taught her like not to jump and all this stuff. And then recently, before we got this puppy, kind of on a whim, we had been working on training her to really listen, like go to your bed when we say go to your bed and like, all this stuff. And the kids were really into it, really like loving it. So now it's a perfect extension of that because we've already been doing all this training with our dog who's 8. And so, yeah, anyways, they're just taking a lot of
by we, I mean me, spent a lot of time teaching my dogs not to jump. And everyone else in my household thinks it's adorable to be like, jump up on me, baby. Come here, babies. And so,
yeah. Well,
it's terrible.
We actually taught Maggie to jump on command. So like we do this and go like this and then she can jump. But I taught her she has to sit and wait to be invited up. And so it's really funny because like if like Randy comes over or Joey comes home, Maggie's just sitting there and shaking her butt and she's just like, please invite. And I'm like, she wants you to invite her. Now other people, I'm like, no, go away. But like people who would be like, she does jump, but only by command, which is actually perfect, I think.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. My dogs jump all the time. They're springers, so they're prone to jump. And then also my family has encouraged them to jump.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your new couch in the background, and I'm remembering that you Marco Polo'd me, and I never responded about this, that you tried not effortlessly, with, what am I trying to say? Like
all the effort in the world.
Yes, with all the effort in the world, endlessly tried to get your family not to let your 3 dogs be on that other couch. And then Bill comes along and loves this couch and won't let the dogs be on it. And you're like, what the?
Yeah. Because this couch has the material that you can actually have dogs on because you wipe it off really easily. Yeah. Whereas our other couch, the material like held onto dog hair.
Yeah. It was kind of swayy.
I give up. I wave the white flag.
Well, and what I love is that you were like, because I'm such a good wife, I'm going to listen to him even though nobody listened to me.
Like, I am far superior.
Big thumbs down. I would be like, no, absolutely not. Oh my gosh.
Well, anyways,
so We're back 5 minutes in. We've covered nothing, but in actuality, we don't plan to cover that much in this episode. We're just kind of a what's happening. Yeah. What have we missed?
Yeah. Overview.
Exactly. So why don't we take a few minutes to talk about like what's new in our lives? Like it can be good, it can be bad, just mundane, whatever. You want to go first or you want me to?
Well, you already you started with a dog, so why don't you go from there? What else is new?
Yeah. So we got a puppy. That is both good and bad. I do have a little buyer's remorse, but he has been really good. So I'm sure I'll grow to love him just fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we had talked about at the end of last season that I was taking classes to become an ordained minister through my denomination. And I hit a little bit of a snag in my planned timeline. And as a result, I have to wait longer than I thought to be ordained, no matter that I had would have completed the requirements and all that.
Basically, you thought you had done everything you needed and you found out that you have to wait 3 years, right?
Period. Like, doesn't matter what else I need to do. And
even though she did all the work.
Yeah, I have to be like in the process for 3 years. And so I hadn't done all the work. I still had 7 classes left, but out of 24,
yeah, you've done a lot of work. I was thinking it was all done.
And so now I have to wait. And so I really started praying about it and felt like I was supposed to go to seminary. So now I am enrolled in seminary. My classes start in a few days. And I'll be getting a master's in ministry. And then I'll still be ordained at the end of the process, but I'll be taking the rest of my ordination classes through the seminary and getting master level credit for it. So that is very exciting.
So cool.
And
very impressive.
Thank you. And I recently am starting a part-time job, which we can talk about at a different time. But I know that means I probably can't do the podcast every single week. It's just a lot of work with editing and promoting and the video and even just creating content.
And reminder, I don't help with any of that.
I wasn't going to say it.
I designed. That was the plan. But if you're wondering why Melissa can't pick up the load, it's because she can't.
The plan was never for Melissa to do any of that work. I asked her to join me in the sense of show up and record. Yeah. And that's what she does. And so, so that being said, we are going to be bumping our podcast to every other week. Is that called bi-weekly or is that bi-monthly?
It's bi-weekly. Bi-monthly is every other month.
Okay. Bi-weekly is every other
twice.
Week.
Bi-weekly is twice a month. Or I mean, bi-weekly is
every other week.
Twice a month.
Okay. Yeah. So that's that. But also we are thinking maybe we'll pack a little bit more into our episodes if needed. And we won't be like so strict to try to cut it off around 35 minutes. So maybe there'll be 45-minute episodes. We're not promising anything, but we just might give ourselves a little bit more room. Also, I don't think we'll probably do almost any, if any at all, mini series, which some of you really like. I don't know. I wish I could actually poll all of our listeners. Right. There really is no good way to poll all of our listeners. Everyone listens through different channels, and not everyone follows us on social media, and some people follow us here and there. And I mean, I think if we poll people on Instagram, we're probably polling like 1% of our listeners. And so
interesting.
Maybe 5, but it's not a very big amount.
Very small.
So, it's very small. And so it's hard to get feedback, because it's different. So anyways, that being said, because the mini series just take a lot more work, because if we do a 4-part series, it's 4 times the amount of work for me. Even though we spend less time recording, I have to spend all that time.
Right. So because they're each individual episodes.
Yeah. So that's my like kind of news for my life. And I do feel like I will be able to have a good grasp on things like balance, and I'm really good with time management. And because I'd already been in school, I have a very good understanding of how that fits into my life. That being said, I just know that I think I'll burn out with the podcast. That'll probably be the first thing to go.
Right.
And that's the last thing I want. So
well, it's just better to set it up with good boundaries. And if you get to the end of the year and you're like, I totally could have done every week. Well, but at least you didn't burn out, because that would be the worst.
Exactly. So I can't think of anything else really. I mean, I shared about my marriage last year and how really it had been so challenging for a couple of years, and it has just continued to be so good and so healthy. And God has just done so many good things in our lives and through that season. So we're in a good place. My kids are in a good place.
So awesome. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, let's see. So in fun news, I have been working at a local restaurant called Vita Bella. So if you are local, you should come. We actually were just nominated for Minnesota's most authentic Italian restaurant.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just heard it yesterday. I think she sent me. Yeah, super cool.
My gosh.
We have really good food.
And, Minnesota's most, like the number one in all of Minnesota.
I mean, I feel like I should go back and verify what she sent me.
Well, now that you mention it, maybe it was Zimmerman's.
No, it's not Zimmerman.
Zimmerman's only. Only I tell you.
Hold on, let me look. I really do want to know. Anyways, so oh shoot, I can't even read this. Okay.
She's got to put her glasses on.
Best authentic Italian dining experience in Minnesota for 2024.
What?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
See, this is how much I don't trust myself. I was like, yeah, that's right. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I would say the same thing.
So anyway, so with this restaurant, I have been there for about 2.5 years. I've been the front house manager for, I don't know, a little over a year, maybe going on a year and a half. I can't remember. And they've just become like family to me. I absolutely love. I feel a lot of ownership over this restaurant. And we are moving into opening another restaurant. If you're local, we'll be in Ramsey. And Bill and I will be actually part owners of that restaurant. So that is super exciting.
Yes.
Nothing I ever imagined in my life being in the restaurant industry really at all, let alone to such an ownership level.
Right.
So we have been working at, I get to be a part of like the interior design of it all. So that's been really fun. Yes. And we are waiting on permits and stuff for the city. So probably I'm saying by the end of the year, it looks like. We were hoping more fall, but it looks like probably by the end of the year. Yep. So that would be called SUR, S-U-R, by Vita Bella. And it won't just be Italian. It'll be all sorts of European food. So yeah, super, super excited about that. In exciting, sad news, my third child is leaving for college next week.
Oh my gosh.
And he is my son that talks the least to me, keeps me the least informed. And so I am definitely emotional about him going because I worry I'll never hear from him. He's just very private, and he's very he just has kind of always done his own thing. He takes care of himself. And as he's gotten older, he lives in my house and I barely know what's going on with him. And so I worry about that, but it's exciting for him. And so he has a girlfriend here, so he'll at least come back as much as he can for her. So I'm happy to see him. And she loves us and we love her, so that's good. So it's not like they'll come here or whatever. But yeah, so we move him out a week from Thursday, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So
does he have like what he needs for his dorm room?
Well, according to him, he needs nothing.
No, that sounds right.
I've been like fighting with him.
Yeah, does he want like a microwave, like a fridge,
unquote,
like a TV?
Quote unquote fighting. Yeah, I'm like
towels.
Thankfully, his girlfriend is there with me half the time, and she'll be like, "Tucker, you need that. Tucker, you need that." He's like, "Oh, I don't think I need anything." I'm like, "You're literally moving out of our house. Like you need
into a bare dorm room that has nothing. They don't even have soap."
Right. So thankfully, I know better because I'm the mom. So we have most of the stuff. He has some like last minute stuff he wants to go shopping for. But yeah, we got most of it, and it's way less than when Ella,
I was gonna say,
left for school, and she wanted everything,
and girly and cute, and I was thinking, I'm sure you've spent like way
less money because he doesn't want anything. And so, he's like, I don't need a microwave. I'm sure I'll never eat in my room. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's true, but okay. And he's like, I guess I can always tell you if I need a microwave down the road. I'm like, sure, we can go.
Well, and he could have taken Ella's that was sitting in the garage if one of the kids' friends didn't. What did they do? Hit it with a golf club?
Beat it up with a golf club. Yep. We had a brand new microwave that had barely been used. It was very cute.
Sitting in the garage. Yeah. She only used it a few months.
And it got beaten up. And it was, anyways, that's a different story. So that's happening.
That's called having teenage boys.
It is called having teenage boys.
Whether they did it or their friends, they're all making bad choices.
Exactly. Seriously. Thankfully, my son realized this kid was not a great influence, so he's parted ways with him. But anyways,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then since we ended the podcast in hard news, my husband lost his job really unexpectedly. I'm going to cry about that too.
That's all right.
it's been a long, hard couple months.
Well, and he was self-employed, so there's no severance. There's no
right. Well,
and he didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong. It was just very painful because he helped. It was a place he thought he was going to retire. He actually helped establish. It was a newer company, and he helped establish. Like the guy was like, "I want you. I'll do whatever it takes to get you." And then because of Bill's influence in his, in the place, like not the place that he works, but in the trucking industry, he's been around for 30 some years.
And, connections, and
was able to bring like 15 other drivers with him.
15? I thought it was like a handful.
No, and Bill lost. He was one of two guys who lost his job because they needed to do cutbacks, and it was just super painful. And so, and he has gotten another job, thankfully. It's just he's working like the job he was at was the best trucking job he's ever had. He was working like decent hours, like he was home every day at a decent time. We got to have dinner together on a regular basis. He wasn't exhausted all the time. I mean, he's been a truck driver since we met, and he's basically lived our entire marriage just exhausted, and like because he used to be over the road and just always worked a lot. And we've prayed so much for God to help us find a place that he didn't have to work like that. And we found this place, and it was amazing. And he's gone back to having to work 6 days a week, and like 15, 16-hour days, and it's just kind of like whiplash. And
it's terrible. And he's not even making remotely close to what he was making before.
Right. Yeah.
So he's working his butt off and like not making
for like significantly less. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of, there's been a lot of obstacles throughout the last couple months. And so it's been hard. It's been amazing. God has done amazing things. He has showed up in really cool ways. I know one of the things we want to talk about is like, what are we learning? Like, what is God teaching us right now? And, for Bill and I guess just to be really raw is, so for our entire life, we've really prayed that we've always had very little income. We've always lived very carefully. I think I've told you guys that before. And we've always prayed that we would be able to make more than enough because we just have a heart to take care of people. We've tried to adopt multiple times.
You have the heart to take care of people, and you have taken care of people even when you had like little or less.
Yeah.
Little.
Very little.
I mean, you've had single moms live with you. You've had like teenage girls live with you, So I just want to be clear. You don't have the heart to do it when you have more money. You've had the heart and you've done it the entire time.
Thank you.
You've just thought, hey, if there was even more excess in our life, we could do even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So God is just, he is taking care of us financially in ridiculous ways. I mean, it's like legit miracles. And that has been our desire is to, I know money is not everything, but when money is always hard, it's exhausting, and it can feel like everything because you have a hard time even thinking outside of like, when you live in a way that you're like, how am I going to pay my bills, or what happens when we get a breakdown? How do we pay for that? Like when there's really no margin, and we just have a heart for, there's so much of the community in the world that lives in that place of no margin or less than that. And so anytime God is taking care of us in these crazy ways, we're like, oh, we want to do this for people someday.
Yes.
Well, so the last 5 years we have lived very comfortably. So Bill had been with another company, was doing really well, and then that moved into this place that he thought he was going to retire at, which was even better. And one of the things that we've realized is we're like, we didn't do anything extra we didn't give anything extra through those 5 years. We did bare minimum, and it's like we finally were just living easy, and that felt like a breath of fresh air because that had been a long time coming. And we just kind of forgot to be like, okay, Lord, this is what we've been praying for all this time. What do we do with this? And I'm not saying we never did anything, but nothing like we've been praying for, that's for sure. And so if nothing else, Bill's like, well, this is a reset, like to remind us, like, what is it that we've been praying for almost 30 years? And and so there's just been a lot of other things. Some really cool things have happened in our marriage through this time. When things are hard, Bill kind of shuts down and keeps me at arm's length. And also his emotions can come out as anger sometimes when when he's sad or scared, he looks angry. And I know that, but it doesn't mean it's easy.
And he's not always angry at you, but it feels like he's angry.
Yeah, he's just kind of angry, like just yeah. And it does, and he gets mad. He'll get frustrated at me. He's like, I'm not mad at you. And I'm like, I know, but I feel like it's directed at me. And because I'm also dealing with the same feelings of grief or fear or nervousness or whatever is happening. I'm not always taking his reaction well. So this time he's not really been angry hardly at all, which is crazy because I think I've been more angry at the situation. Yes, because
I think I've been more angry than Bill has been.
I'm like, how dare you? Like, he left a stable job to help you, secure this new place, and then you just let him go, and it with no thought at all. And he has this winters off, so he had just gotten through the winter, so we had just eaten up most of our savings to get through the winter. So it's like it was just it's just been
you were just
hard.
starting to build back up, to prepare for the next winter.
Exactly. So anyway, Bill's let me in this time. It's like we've gotten to be sad and grieve together. And so it's just, we've been married a long time. And so for that to be kind of the first time that I've really felt that through a really hard time is such an answer to prayer, such a evidence of, obviously we've been working for years at getting better at how we handle hard times or whatever. And I myself, my go-to when things are hard is I shut down and I stop taking care of myself. Like, I've realized that when I go through things like this, it's a situational depression that I will go through, and I have control over that. I don't have to get into that place. And so for me, what that looks like is I don't eat. And when I don't eat, when you don't fuel your body with food, this is so obvious, but it's something that I really have not realized until this last 6 months is, you don't have the energy for anything else. Like your whole body just kind of starts shutting down. And so when I don't eat,
the less energy you have, the less energy you have to feed yourself.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Cycle. So then when I am exhausted and need to eat, I eat crap, because I don't have the energy to make anything good. And then when that happens, I struggle to take care of my house, and I just struggle to take care of my life, and everything feels daunting. And this is the first time that in my adult life that I can ever remember going through something that's really been hard, ongoing for several months, and been very sad and been very frustrating. And I have kept taking care of myself. I've kept eating the food, which means I've kept going to the gym, and I've kept feeding my family, and I've kept doing the things. I'm still tired. I still feel a little, weary from it all, but not depressed, that's amazing. I mean, it's just, so even though this last couple months has been really hard, God has shown spotlights on these areas that we have been working at individually or separately for years. And we're like, wow, he's really brought us so far. So
yeah. Well, and I know, obviously you know this, Melissa, but I'm going to tell our listeners, I have just seen all these things in Melissa's life and in Bill's life and in their marriage together that I'm like, this is the fruit. Yeah. You have worked so hard all of these years to do better in some of these areas, to fight for growth in some of these areas. And then it wasn't just, like you said, there was some other obstacles. It wasn't just the job. There have been a number of things.
It's kind of been one after the other. Yeah.
And I'm watching and going, this is the fruit. This is the fruit of all of that work, all of that intentionality. And what's so interesting about that is that in life, it's really easy to not take something seriously until it's too late, right? Our health, or people, they get liver disease because they've been drinking all these years. And then they're like, well, now your liver's damaged, and it's well, now you can stop drinking, but it might actually be too late. Or being physically active. And then we get to a place in our age where we're actually maybe too old, not Melissa or I, but you're actually too old to undo the stagnancy that you allowed, that you allowed in your life for decades. And so that can be in all sorts of areas, or savings, it's oh, we thought we'll always save later. And then you're there's literally nothing. And maybe something, this isn't related to you, but then you do lose a job and you're like, oh, I didn't take any time to save. I didn't take any time to prepare or whatever.
Well, and so, I would say in our marriage, it's easy to just not deal with each of the problems because they're exhausting. It's exhausting to keep fighting to get healthier and grow. Were you going to say that?
That's exactly where, that's exactly where I was going with it. All of these things that you've worked on in your personal life, that Bill's worked on in his personal life, that you worked on in your marriage, it would have been really easy to be like, I don't know, we'll figure that out later. Or that's just the way we are. But you have dug in and fought and been like, no, it's not going to be this way forever. And now when the crap has hit the fan, the fruit of all of that work has been there. And that's why it's so important to always be working on ourselves, always be getting in scripture, always be praying, always be asking God, show me what I need. Search my heart, oh Lord, test my anxious thoughts. Show me what I need to do. And you have done that faithfully and diligently. And I have been like front row seat to going, yeah. And now I'm seeing the proof of all that work. And it hasn't made it easier for you necessarily. I mean, some of it's made it easier, I guess. The marriage stuff specifically, taking care of yourself. Yeah, I guess it's made it easier. But the circumstances are still hard.
Absolutely.
Like, nothing is easy.
Right. And I mean, that's the one thing that I feel like God has shown me very clearly is you can trust me, Melissa. You can have faith that I know what I'm doing. You can believe that this is purposeful, or, that I'm not just like, oh, he lost his job, too bad for you. Like, he's in this with us. We don't know what his plan is, but he's in with us, but we can still be sad, and we can still grieve, and we can still mourn the thing. We were supposed to have our first real family vacation, like where we really got to go do something. We were going to go to Montana. We were so excited, and we had to cancel that. And we lost a crap ton of money. So we had to cancel. Like, it was just like, not only did we not get to go, but I could have used that money for something else. And so, it's just, those things are real and they're hard. Somebody responded to me recently, well, what I try to do is look at the good things that God has done and not look at the ways that it's hard. It helps. And I was like, well, yeah, but also the hard is still hard. Like, I can absolutely be thankful for the good things. I can absolutely, I'm sitting here telling you all these things that God has done that are good through this, but that does not take away the hard. And I think that's really important for us all to remember. I think sometimes as followers of Jesus, we feel like we're supposed to, I should back up. I know I have struggled as a follower of Jesus to feel like I either have to have faith and be okay, or if I'm sad and struggling, I'm not having faith, and I'm not, and like, then that's not okay. And like, I just don't believe for a second that God, he gave us our human feelings and our human emotions and our human reactions.
Well, that's like the entire book of Psalms. It's like, why? This is so hard. When is it going to stop being hard? And God, you are so good, and I trust that you are faithful. I mean, that's like literally, it's like lament and faith mixed together. And
absolutely. And even Jesus on his deathbed, basically, he was like, Lord, take this from me. Although, of course, I'll do it because I trust you. I mean, like, even Jesus, who is perfection. Like, and so I just think that that's something that's important. That's something God has really shown me, is that I can feel both those ways, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's huge. And I'm just like really proud of you and happy for you that you have done the work on the front end. And it's just like my encouragement to myself and our listeners that do the hard work, because hard stuff is coming. And the healthier we are, the more we are filled up with, God's presence and biblical things and goodness. And the more disciplined we are in our prayer life and all of that, the easier those times are going to be, even if they're still hard.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to share?
That was a lot.
I can't think of anything else in your life that I'm like, oh, you should talk about this, but
no.
Okay.
No.
So you talked about what God is teaching you right now. Did you have anything else you want to add to that? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. So I guess, what is God teaching me right now? Something that I've known this in my past, and this summer was super evident of it for me, is when I am not actively teaching okay, so let me back up. If I'm preparing a sermon, I'm teaching, but first I have to learn.
Right.
I have to learn and do the deep dive to do the teaching. When we're podcasting, we don't just show up and wing it, today we don't have a topic. We're still not winging it, but most of the time we have scriptures and questions and quotes. And so that's teaching, but first I'm learning so I can teach. And when I make like my ministry reels, I'm teaching, but first I spent time in the word learning. And so when I'm not actively teaching, I don't always have something to learn.
Right.
And so like in the past, when I would run races. And if I didn't have a race on the schedule, I just stopped running.
Yes.
I wasn't really a runner. I was a racer. Yeah. If I had a race, I would run. And if I didn't, I wouldn't. And I have always known this about myself, but because I was taking classes right up until our trip to Minnesota. We go to Minnesota for the whole month of July. And I literally finished my last class like the morning I left, right? So I'm like submitting my very last things. And then all of July, I didn't have any sermons. We didn't have any podcasts. I wasn't taking any classes. And then now we are here at August 13th. And I just prepared for these podcasts yesterday. And I'm like, I pretty much spent 6 straight weeks being like barely in the word and like barely praying. And I was in the word, but I just feel like I was just showing up. And like, I don't even feel like I was learning anything. Yeah. And I'm like, I dislike that about myself, but I'm also like, but maybe that's just the way I am. And God's like, that's why you always need to have a purpose to learn, you know? And so here I am, I'm back, I'm starting seminary, I'm doing the podcast, I'm putting reels back out for my ministry. And I'm like, I took a 6-week break from those things, but I feel like my faith was just like backsliding in the sense of investment, you know? So it's like, you can be married and you can even go on a date and, you know, you see people on dates sometimes and they're just both on their phones, not interacting. Like sometimes Joey and I'll be like, oh, we're like shopping for a kid's birthday gift.
Yeah.
They're just literally not talking to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I see that at the restaurant all the time.
All the time. I'm like, that's a really wasted date, in my opinion. That's not true investment. That's how I feel like I was these last 6 weeks. I was showing up. I was going on the date, but I wasn't really investing and nothing really good came out of it. And that's good for me to recognize. It's good for me to know. And it's something I want to work on, and I'm not really sure how to work on it.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, that's why I do the ministry things that I do, because it's such a huge part of my faith.
So let me ask you this question. Because I'm thinking through, I'm like, oh, my last couple months have been, I've spent so much time with God, but not in a traditional way. I have spent very little time with my Bible open. I've been listening to the Bible on, and I've been listening to the Gospels, and then I feel like I'm talking to him all day long. I don't know that I've learned anything over these last several months. I feel like he is just sustaining me. He's just helping me because it's been hard. And my question is, do you feel like, because sometimes we do have parts of our marriage where we're just getting by. We're just keeping it consistent, even though there's not a lot of depth. It's not because we don't want the depth. It's because this is the season in our life where we're just getting by, like whatever that means. And so I'm wondering, and I'm serious, I'm curious, really, truly curious what your thoughts are. Do you think you're putting like this huge high expectation on yourself to stay at a depth that is that even possible? Or is it like, no, I actually really believe that is what I'm supposed to be aiming for?
I feel like I was just slacking off. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I was just slacking off. And so I totally get what you're saying. And I've had seasons like that where I'm like, this is all I can do. And God is totally sustaining me in it. That wasn't these last 6 weeks. I was just like slacking.
And you're just noticing that when you do, first of all, I don't want anyone to feel like the only way that you can have depth and consistency with God is if you go to seminary and do. No. Because obviously that's not what you're saying at all.
I just have seen
somebody being like, oh crap.
No. This is just such a consistent theme in my life. I have been in a teaching position since I was in high school because I was a youth group leader for middle school kids. I have been doing ministry in some sort of teaching capacity. College students, high school students, middle school students, young women, moms, you know, now my entire church congregation, for like my entire life. And it's just a constant theme in my life. And I would love to have 6 weeks where I'm not in race mode and I still don't slack off. You know what I mean? Like
that's what you're saying. It's like you need to learn how to keep jogging in between the races. And so,
because this isn't a thing for me very often, but I noticed it last summer too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Throughout the year, I'm always doing stuff that's, you know, I'm talking to my kids about the Bible. We have routines. And for me, I think it's really, maybe it's not even when I'm preparing to teach as much as when I have structure.
Yeah.
And I have a purpose to dive in deeper. And
well, I mean, you do thrive across the board when you have structure, like whether it's,
I do.
You know, eating and exercising and sleeping and, you know, all those things I mean, I think we all do to some extent, but you really do. Like, I don't need near as much structure as you do.
No. And when I realized this about me as a runner, I mean, this was like 12 years ago, you know, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I was like, I want to be able to, or even if I didn't run and I was working out, I only worked out for a purpose. Oh, I have a vacation coming up. Summer is coming. And then I would always fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, well now my clothes don't fit. So I better start working out again. Yeah. And I really wanted that to not be my thing anymore. I wanted my thing where it's like, I don't even want to live without this in my life.
You just want to keep showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not like with my faith, this is a constant thing. Like I keep falling off the wagon. It's literally just been the summer when I'm in Minnesota and I'm with other people.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I came back and I feel like I didn't really get right back into anything. And I'm just like, I want to keep jogging when there are no races on the calendar. And
I like that thought process.
And eventually I was able to do that in my workout life. So for heaven's sakes, I should be able to do it in my faith. And, you know, with seminary coming up, I'm like, of course, everything I'm doing is biblical. I mean, like I literally have a class called spiritual formation. the entire duration of my seminary. I will have a cohort. We will be doing spiritual formation. My other class I have, there's like these 20-minute devotional videos that he puts out. And then we have to discuss and read books and write papers and all this stuff. Everything I will be doing is faith-based. But I don't want to become like so academic that like it's not really touching my heart, because I also know myself and it can be like that. And so like I've been thinking about what are my faith goals for this year. And I'm like, my goal is keep jogging when there's no race.
Yeah.
And don't let like I don't want to just achieve and produce and check things off the list to get to the end of seminary. The whole point of going to seminary is to learn more about my faith and people and loving people and the Bible and God and Jesus and the Word. And it should all be encompassing in my life. And so, you know, just those I think are my life and faith goals this year, and kind of what's God showing me right now.
Yeah.
So I kind of answered 2 of the questions.
Well, I've been thinking about that since I read that we were going to talk about that. And I was like, I don't know what mine are, because I feel like I'm living them out right now. Like I'm living out my goals, like that I've had for a long time. And, you know, my whole entire adult life, I have spent regular devotional, like I sit on my couch and have my Bible open, take notes, read. I've usually been a part of a Bible study. Excuse me, my throat is bugging me. And that has looked very different. To be honest with you, it's looked very different the last several years for a couple of reasons. One, we've really felt like we were supposed to leave our church about 4 years ago,
during COVID.
4 years ago. And we have had a very hard time finding another church home. It's been very painful, very overwhelming, very sad, very confusing, because we love being a part of a church. And so, so I don't have the church community that I usually have. And I think I've talked about some of my health problems over the last several years that has just caused me to struggle to like concentrate or focus on anything. And so I have spent a lot of time, really, I've spent so much time listening to Bible, listening to podcasts, listening to scripture, listening to the Bible and scripture, that would be the same.
Yep.
And then, and just being with God. Like, I feel like, I think I have spent probably more time. Okay, I don't know why I'm getting emotional again. I've been super emotional lately, guys. I'm crying.
What
all
I
the
love
time.
so much about you is you're always like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. And I'm like, I know why you're getting emotional.
I don't know why in this moment I'm getting emotional, because I didn't half the time I don't feel emotional until suddenly there's tears behind my eyeballs. And I'm like, crap. Yeah,
that's how I've
cried at the gym a whole lot this year. I even cried at the grocery store recently. And I don't even know why. I can't even tell you. Anyways. And so my the last several years, my time with God it's been so different, because I haven't been in a place where I've been able to learn a lot, like to learn new things. I have because I have just I kind of to some extent feel like I've just been surviving for several years. And probably the reason I'm emotional is because God's just he's so gentle with us. He's just so kind and loving. And I have spent a lot of time just saying the name Jesus over and over. Like, there's so many times I have been struggling and I couldn't pray. I didn't know what to pray, but I could say his name. And I know it talks about that in the Bible somewhere. I can't remember where, but how just saying his name. And so anyways, so I suppose my life focus right now is just continuing to get healthier. Both, you know, I'm at that time in life where I probably am dealing with menopause. I'm actually seeing a doctor in 2 weeks because I have a feeling some things that I'm dealing with are that related. So just trying to figure that out. Just trying to deal with the age I'm at and what that naturally does to yourself while not giving into it, while not letting it take me down. And I've come so far from even a year ago. I'm in a much better place as far as like physically and emotion. I've been in a better place physically and emotionally and mentally. And then Bill lost his job, and that's just been hard. But
right.
So, but I feel like I just clinging to God when things are confusing and rough has been what I've been doing. And so I know it's really annoying to listen to people cry, so I'm trying not to cry.
Oh, I don't think it's that annoying.
I feel like if you're watching the person or like they're on stage or in the room, it's not bad, but like I'm imagining through the microphone, it's terrible.
I think you're making it a bigger thing than it is.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Well, I that makes sense. Exactly. That you're like, just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm finally in this place and I just want to keep doing it. And yeah.
And
good.
I've been missing sitting with my Bible open in my lap and reading it and pray, and so that's good, because
I was like, that's such a good place to be.
Because for a long time I couldn't even. It felt overwhelming. Like it's not like I've never spent time in my Bible over the last couple of years. I have a lot. It's just that a lot of times it's been so much work that it just to even stay focused, and so.
Yeah. Well, I think that is probably the end of our episode, but I would love to leave our readers with a challenge. Of all the things we talked about, do you have anything you can think of that you're like, that would be my challenge to people?
Otherwise, I mean, I like that you've taken account of where you're at and like, what is my goal for my relationship with God for the rest of this year? Like, what do I want to see? Am I doing what I want to be doing with him? Am I spending the time with him? Am I okay with where I'm at? Like, I'm okay with where I'm at, like with him. Like, I don't feel guilty that I have not spent as much time in my physical Bible as I prefer.
Yeah.
Because that's the beautiful thing about other resources, about listening to things and whatever. And also there's not a checklist of things to do right or wrong to have a relationship with Jesus. And so basically, just, are you in a place where you're like, I am continuing to jog in between the races with my relationship with Jesus? And am I, when I am spending time with him, am I just on my phone with him? with him across the table. Like, I'm sitting across the table waiting for me to get off my phone. Like, are we feeling invested? And that's
invested. I like that. Okay. Well, I think that's great. All right. Next episode, we'll actually have like a topic, but hopefully people got stuff from this too. And it's good for us to chat.
Thanks for letting us share with you guys our last couple months. So
All right, you guys, have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.